Morning, folks. This is Deb. You know, we're going to talk a little bit this morning about the fact that Donald Trump is now gracing the front cover of Time magazine as their man of the year. Now, people are tying themselves up into knots, trying to tell me that, well, it's not exactly a complimentary article. Well, I don't care if it's complimentary or not. Anytime you put this man on the front cover of a magazine, you are normalizing him. And there is nothing about Donald Trump. In fact, if you read the article itself, the interview with Trump, you should gain from this one thing. The man is not interested in governance. He is on a retribution tour. The people he is choosing in his cabinet and to head major organizations within the government are there to do one thing, to do his bidding, to get back at people such as Kash Patel as the head of the FBI. Totally ridiculous. Okay. And Linda McMahon as the head of the Department of Education, a woman whose only claim to fame is running World Wrestling Entertainment. She is there to destroy the Department of Education. Okay. Just as others are there to destroy other portions of our government that have been serving the American people. One of those people is RFK Jr. And we're going to talk about him this morning because he is a clear and present immediate danger to America's public health system. And by the way, the rest of the world, because we are a mobile society. So let's talk about what we know. Aaron Siri, who is an attorney that has worked with RFK Jr., petitioned the government in 2022 to halt the polio vaccine until a, quote, properly controlled and properly powered double-blind trial of sufficient duration is conducted to assess the safety of the vaccine, end quote. We have had the polio vaccine for decades. Since the 1980s, polio cases have dropped from 350,000 in the United States to just 6 in 2021. And nobody has died from the polio vaccine. Nobody. Nobody. And by the way, let me say something about this petition that Aaron Siri filed with the FDA. That was on behalf of the Informed Consent Network, another right-wing vaccine paranoid group run by a man named Del Bigtree. You might not hear his name so much now, but back in the day, Del Bigtree was another purveyor of medical bullshit, just like RFK Jr., Dr. Merkler, and a whole host of other people. So now we halt the polio vaccine and we put tons of people at risk. I want to just explain something to you. People who think we don't need the polio vaccine anymore are dreaming, because the way you keep people safe is to vaccinate them. There are still countries where polio is prevalent. So if you're traveling, you need to be protected from that, okay? And you do it to keep it from coming back. The polio vaccine has saved 20 million people from paralysis and has saved 1.5 million people from death. By the way, Mitch McConnell is a polio survivor, and he has even warned the American people that this is a disaster. Now, I'd feel a whole lot better about that if I thought for a nanosecond that Mitch McConnell would vote against RFK Jr. That would make me feel much better about Mitch McConnell, because then I'd know he was literally serious about what he was saying. Aaron Siri is now vetting people for the CDC on behalf of RFK Jr., a man who should not be doing this for a living, okay? He should not. RFK Jr. must not be approved for his position as the head of Health and Human Services. He is a disaster in the making. He is a disaster for public health. And public health does matter. Never once in my lifetime did I feel like my personal freedoms were being infringed upon when I got a vaccine. Neither did I think that I was being infringed upon, or my children were being infringed upon, when they were vaccinated for school. There is a thing in this country called for the greater good, okay? And your personal belief about being vaccinated isn't just about you. When you don't vaccinate your children, you put other people's kids at risk in school. When you don't vaccinate yourself, you put other people at risk. And that is not the way it works here. This is not the way it works when you live in a country of 337 million people. You want that kind of life? Go live on an island somewhere. That's what you need to do. You need to isolate yourself, and then you can live yourself that way. Okay? You can live your lives whatever way you want. But when you are a part of a bigger society, you owe it to everyone else in this country to participate for the greater good in some things. Okay? And by the way, you can bet your life if people were dying every day from vaccines, the news media would be all over that shit. Because that's the kind of shit that brings readership. But the fact of the matter is, nobody's dying from vaccines, but plenty of people are dying from diseases related to people not getting vaccinations. Now, it has been reported that kindergartners, the vaccine levels have dropped in the United States, and they've dropped in large part due to the bullshit that comes from people like RFK Jr. and the rest of the COVID-denying, vaccine paranoid right, okay? RFK Jr. has absolutely no background in the medical world, none. He's a bottom-feeding lawyer, okay? He has no experience in infectious disease. He has never seen the inside of a laboratory. He has never worked with sick children. And his website, Children's Defense Network or Children's Health Defense, has no science on it. It's all pseudoscience. RFK Jr. must not be confirmed as the head of Health and Human Services. He will set this country back decades. And he will put millions of people in this country at risk. And yes, people will die. But they will be dying as a result of what he does in that position. I will talk to you all later.